Hello and welcome to Pastor's Library. My name is Stephen Redman and this is the channel where we discuss all matters to do with theological books, what might be on your pastor's library or minister's bookcase or on a reading list for a bachelor's or master's in theology. And so today I would like us to talk about a particular author. If you like what we have to say, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube or do click on subscribe and click on the bell, and then you'll be among the first to know when we publish another episode. But today I want to talk about Terence Fretheim. Terence Fretheim is one of my all-time favourite theologian authors. Great man of the Bible, great man of the Word, and he died in November 2020, so we recently lost him, and his work is a huge legacy to the church and to students of good theology everywhere. So I want to introduce you to him. Here he is. And I also want to introduce you to some of his work. Firstly, I'd like to say you may know the name Walter Brueggemann better. Walter is one of our most eminent Old Testament theologians, and Terence Fretheim was Walter's friend, and the two of them met initially when they were engaged by Abingdon Press to produce two commentaries in the New Interpreter's Bible series. Terence Fretheim was engaged to write Genesis, and Walter Brueggemann was engaged to write Exodus. And what they did was, as they were working on these together, they shared notes, and they became great friends, and the relationship carried on when interpretation engaged them to write them again, but this time Fretheim wrote Exodus and Brueggemann wrote Genesis. And Brueggemann has written the most wonderful eulogy for Terence Fretheim, saying how much they gained from each other. And whereas Terence would criticise him a little bit for being over the top in his Calvinism, in his deterministic viewpoint, but then Brueggemann would also criticise Fretheim for saying he was too much the other way round. But both of them got on tremendously, which is a great example to us all that we need not be too separated by our differences in theology, but that we can engage with each other. The old pastor's wife I had in 1978 said to me, Stephen, eat the meat and spit out the bones. And I have tried to live by that ever since. You know, the truth is, I might read a book and think, oh, hang on, I can't go along with this. But I read it and I find other things that are helpful. And I think that is something we can do by reading around our subjects. It's important that we don't dismiss everybody because, oh, they don't believe how I believe. Raymond Brown, who I will probably talk about another time, is a great theologian. Lots of people rave about him. I was talking to a couple of guys who said, oh, isn't he brilliant? And then I said, yes. I said, and you would never know by reading him that he came from a Catholic background, would you? And I have to say to you, I was devastated that these two guys said, oh, I didn't realise that. Well, I won't bother with him again. But actually, Raymond Brown was a great theologian. The fact that he was a Catholic was barely relevant. And I want to suggest to you that we should never dismiss people because they have one view or another view. But Terence Fretheim is a favourite of mine, and Brueggemann spoke so highly of him, even though he had a different opinion. So I've shown you a couple of the commentaries that Fretheim wrote. This is a very largest volume on Jeremiah, and this is a Smith and Helwys Bible commentary. It's the only one I've got in the series, but it's I bought it because Fretheim wrote it, and I found it helpful. The truth is, everything I've ever read by him I've found helpful. He wrote a lot of journal articles, and sometimes I would buy an issue of the journal just because I knew he had an article in it. Sometimes the article became available as a free download on the internet later, and I downloaded them and read them that way. This book, What Kind of God, is full of journal articles that Fretheim wrote describing his God. And in there's a chapter called Some Reflections on Brueggemann's God. There you go, more evidence of their friendship. Lots of appearances in other people's work or in compilations, like Old Testament Heritage, volumes 1 and 2, Fretheim contributed to that. A great book edited by Bunge that's called The Child in the Bible that Fretheim contributed to. There are other smaller works of commentaries that he has left the world with. He's left the world with a very good commentary on 1st and 2nd Kings, which is that. He wrote a great book on Jonah. That is a really important read if you're going to study Jonah. And this one is on Hosea to Micah. So that's also a very, very good commentary. So there are more out there than are necessarily obvious. This book on the Pentateuch, the name gives it away what it's about, but again, that's a useful commentary. And this one I found incredibly helpful, Abraham, Trials of Family and Faith. And if you're going to do a study on Abraham, this is a very good book to have with you. He wrote a fair bit about Genesis and creation, and he wrote this in Creation Untamed, and it deals with some serious theological questions, as did God and the World in the Old Testament. He also wrote a book with Walter Brueggemann on theological approach to the Old Testament. So basically, there's an awful lot out there. His last book to be published before he died was called God So Enters into Relationship That... And I cannot recommend that to you too much. I bought 6 copies and I can't find a single one to wave in front of you today. I think I must have given it away. But it's an absolutely brilliant, fairly small paperback. You can read it in an evening, but an excellent work. So Terence Fretheim, one of my all-time favourites. I commend his work to you. Do at least try to read some of it because it will be helpful on your journey. If you've enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. Remember to click the bell and to subscribe if you haven't done already. That way you will know as soon as a new episode of Pastor's Library is launched. God bless you. Bye.